This is a fan project. All material used are properties of their respective owners. I claim no ownership. Please do like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you and enjoy the video. Hi everyone, Harassers here. And sorry for the lack of video uploads for the past few weeks. Life kind of got in the way. But yeah. So I'm back doing another Toku review. And this will be actually my first Ultra review. And I will be reviewing the newest Ultra project that has come out on Netflix. And that is Ultraman Rising. So where to begin with this? Ultraman Rising is an animated movie. I actually thought it was going to be a short series, but it ended up being a movie. It's animated, and it tells a story of an Ultraman trying to be a better person through parenting, basically. Oh yeah, also, this video will have some spoilers. So yeah, this movie, I actually did not expect this movie to be this good. Actually, like, this movie is very well made. It has like very interesting camera angles. The design choices for the characters are great. The music choices, like, you can tell this movie was made with love. Like, I don't know who the director is. Like, let me check. Shannon Tyndall and Joshua Aoshima. John Aoshima. Sorry for butchering of the name. Yeah, they knocked it out of the park, I think. And yeah, I did not expect this movie to be this good, and honestly, very heartwarming. It's a very heartwarming story. It's a story about family at the core of it. It's a story about how this one person is trying to fill the shoes of his dad and trying to be a better person and a better Ultra through parenting. So yeah, and there's a lot of Toku reference in this movie. Like, they use a lot of the Ultra, like, original Ultra, like the spinning text paint thing. They use that a lot. And they use a version of the Ultraman theme, like the original Hayate theme, Ultraman no Uta. Yeah. And there's other Toku reference, like you actually saw like two Megazords, like two Zords, and I think it's Arbor Ranger. Yeah, it's Arbor Ranger, the Abaran O, in the background. It's part of like Ken's toy collection at the back, and he has a lot of cars, and one of those cars is actually Ultra 7's car. If you zoom in, you can see that's the silhouette of Ultra 7's car, like the Ultra what? I forgot what the Ultra Garrison's car name is. And yeah. Also, this movie has the unique aspect at, like, this movie does a lot of things like that Ultra rarely do. Like, I mean, not rarely, but the main villain of this movie is actually the Defense Force, the anti-kaiju force. Kaiju attacks or sightings are a common thing. And this movie is set in Japan, and it's Ultraman whose job is to protect the city of Japan. I think what part of the city is this? I don't think it's Tokyo, but I think it's part of close to Tokyo. Nagoya. I don't know. Correct me in comments. Fill me in the comments, because there's a heavy emphasis on also baseball in this, because the main team that our main character Ken Sato plays in is at the Yokohama Giants, and his mom is actually not a Giants fan. She's actually a Hanshin's Tiger fan from, I think it's from, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't want to stir any pot from any Japanese baseball fans. Osaka Hanshin Tigers, I think. Yeah. So yeah, and there's a lot of baseball influence here and a lot of Ultra reference. So yeah, the Defense Force is the main villain of this movie, which is, it's not the first time. Like there's a few times where the Defense Force is actually the villain. Case in point, well, not the main villain per se. Like they're shady. They're shady at the very least, and in some cases, straight up villainous. Like in Nexus, the boss of the Night Riders, the TLT, are actually the villains. They're not necessarily bad per se, but they're very shady. And in the Nex, same. And in this case, they're trying to defend Tokyo, like their heart's in the right place, but they're very violent about it. They're very extreme, like they will kill kaiju, as opposed to Ultraman, where I don't actually see him ever killing a kaiju. It's like the dad says, like Ken's dad says, Ultraman is there to protect the balance. He never actually shown to kill a kaiju. And they actually made a point where they said the Defense Force, the Kaiju Defense Force, the KDF, is actually killing kaiju now. Like you see in the screen, like a lot of kaijus are dead by the Defense Force hands, like Gamora, Naranga. I think, yeah, a lot of kaiju actually shows up in here. A cameo, like the first kaiju like we see Ken fight as Ultra is Naranga, I think. And Gamora was referenced a few times. I never saw Dada. I was hoping to see Dada here, but no. I don't see any Pigmon, no Elect King. There's a lot of Ultra reference. And the Ultra and the Kaiju Defense Force's uniform is kind of like a mix of the SSSP from the original Ultra and the Ultra team, the Ultra Garrison from Ultra 7. And the main central villain of this movie is Professor. I'm bad with names. Let me see. It's Professor Dr. Onda. Dr. Onda, not Professor. Dr. Onda. He's the leader of the Defense Force and is actually he's not that fleshed out. Like I was hoping to get more, but overall I'm very much okay with his portrayal in this. But he's not a typical villain because he feels wronged by Ultraman in a way, because in a way he feels that Ultraman failed the city and failed him because his family died in a kaiju attack and Ultraman failed to protect them, and he feels very vengeful towards the kaiju and Ultraman. And that's why after Ken took over, like during the time before Ken and before his dad transitioned into giving the mantle of Ultra to Ken, the KDF started to become more violent, like more extreme in handling kaiju attacks. But back to Ken, who is the main character of this movie. He's very, at the beginning of this movie, he's very much a diva. He feels like he's very cocky. He feels like he can take everything alone. Like he's a star athlete from the US. Like his family moved from Japan to the US. Ken and his mom moved to the States, while his dad had to stay in Japan to be Ultraman. Yeah, so to clear this up, and spoilers, his dad is actually Ultraman at the start of this prologue. There's a prologue in this movie where his dad is Ultraman. He's a star athlete. I think during these States, he's part of the Yankees, I think. But yeah, he's a star player. And he has a big ego. And he feels he can take everything on its own. And he calls himself the Ken Sato Show. He has a lot of advertisement and he has a lot of fans in Japan. also. But because for some reason, I think it was implied that his dad got injured because his dad became too old to fight and he got injured, which shows because his human form is actually on a cane, which is also a reference to Ultraman Leo, where Ultra 7, Dan Moroboshi, was also in a cane, the same type of cane, because his leg got broken during the start of the show. And Professor Sato's car, Ken's dad's car, license plate is Ultra 7. It says Ultra and 7. So, yeah. So Ken had to move back to Japan, dropping his career to start over in Japan, in the Yokohama Giants. And it caused a lot of a buzz. And during a press conference, a lot of people are saying that Ken moved because he was this close to winning a title. He's a good player. He's an ace player, but never won a title. And the moment he was about to, he left to go back to Japan to start his career back from zero as a part of the Yokohama Giants. And most people are citing that because of emotional stress, because one of the reasons why he had to move back to Japan to take over, because it was to fulfill his mom's quote-unquote dying wish, last wish, because his mom is also a scientist like his dad, who studies kaiju, and she went missing. She went missing during a kaiju expedition, during an expedition, and her last wish was to help his dad. And Ken begrudgingly accepts that wish. Although, yeah, emphasis on begrudgingly, because his first scene as Ultraman is, yeah, he does things half-assed. Like, he does not want to be Ultraman. He'd rather play baseball than be Ultraman, and it shows. And people also notice it. Like, there was a newscast during the film where an old lady is actually complaining about Ken's performance as Ultraman. Like, I'm paraphrasing, but she says, "I love Ultraman. Like, he protected the city many times, and then he went away. And when he can come back, in this case, when Ken shows up now as Ultraman, she feels like he doesn't care for the surroundings," which shows because Ken's first outing as Ultra in this is rough to say the least. This is like Mebius level, almost Mebius level collateral damage, episode 1. Yeah, a lot of collateral damage. He doesn't care about his environment. He doesn't try to push the monster into a more secluded place or not. Yeah, and Ken's not okay listening to those critiques. Yeah, during the fight, during the first fight in Naruto, he actually injured himself in his shoulder, which actually affected his performance in the game. Yeah, Ken stumbles a lot in this movie, and the best thing I can say about this movie, like one of the best things, is growth. Ken grows exponentially in one movie. In this movie, he started off very cocky, and through an unexpected meeting with a kaiju baby that he has to take care of from now on, which they later name Emmy, which is cute as fuck. Like, that baby is the epitome of the meme. I love this baby so much. It is so cute. I will kill everyone who tries to hurt this baby. If this baby gets hurt, I will kill everyone and then myself. That's the epitome of Emmy in this movie. She's so cute, and she actually does a Godzilla dance, the kaiju, this dance. Yeah, the kaiju step dance. Oh god. Oh yeah. Emmy does the kaiju step dance, like, hilariously, and she imprinted himself into Ken. Oh yeah, and Ken also has this assistant bot, like, was modeled after his mom, named, let me check. Mina, named Mina, which uses the voice of his mom and acts like a surrogate mom to Emmy, while Ken acts as the dad. And later on, his dad, Professor Shadow, actually comes to help Ken when Emmy actually gets pretty injured during her accidental outing, where her arm kind of breaks, and it's up to Professor Sato, to fix it, because Ken was panicking during the start of this movie. Ken was very egotistical, and when he meets Emmy at the start, he was very no. I do not need another problem in my life. But after a meeting, like there's a scene, like, I think it was very impactful, regardless of whether you're a parent or not. He was very frustrated at this time. Everything was falling out of whack. He can't do his job as Ultra. He's failing at the team. The fans are booing him because of his poor performance, because he's too tired. And he called a reporter, one of the reporter who was at the press conference, who asked him a heavy question. A female reporter named Ami Wakita. And this is probably one of my favorite scenes of the movie, because it actually it centered him in a way. Him calling Ami centered him, like gave him perspective, like how to connect with Emmy. And during that moment, he kind of saw that Emmy liked watching his games, and he tried to teach her baseball. And that moment was so nice, so heartwarming, and it kind of tugs at the heartstrings a lot. I love that moment during Emmy's first home run, and he had to like hold her giant finger and walk her down the bases, around the bases. That was some nice direction, nice scene. I love that scene. And then that's when he actually got centered. Like, he knows he's starting to, okay, I have a feeling for this. I think I can do this. And his mind was at ease, and he agreed to do a follow-up interview with Ami. Also, speaking of Ami, I am so grateful that they didn't force a romance between those two. Like, I can see them going for it. Like, if they want to, they could. Like, they absolutely could. But Ami is already, like, Ami's a great character, even though she doesn't have a lot of scenes in the movie. She has like a lot of meaningful scenes, but not like a lot scenes. But the scenes that she was in are very meaningful. I'm very thankful that they didn't push a romance between Ken and Ami, because this doesn't mean like I don't want to see it, because they actually could. They could do it, and maybe in the future, but I don't expect them to do it, because it feels right. I feel that the lack of romance in this movie was right, because Ken's heart is like, his heart is for Emmy. Like, he cares for Emmy that much in the end. And Ami is actually like very much like a guide, not necessarily a mentor, but a guide, like a spirit guide, because Ami is also a parent. And I think she's a single parent. She has a kid, a daughter, who loves Ultraman so much. And yeah, she's actually just talking from experience. She's just talking. It's a very real talk. It feels like a very real talk. Like, yeah, they can be a little monster sometimes, but sometimes you can learn from them more than they can learn from us. It's very real. And yeah, I'm so grateful that they didn't force anything with those two. And in the end, it feels like a mutual respect thing. If they decide to make a sequel and push romance, I don't really mind, because they have that good chemistry, like very understanding friends. Mutual respect with each other. And then when he's finally getting a hold of things, Emmy gets out accidentally and gets injured. And that's where he has to reconnect with his dad, because his relationship with his dad is actually not that great. Their relationship is very much strained because his dad had to stay in Japan while he basically feels like his dad left him and his mom to their own devices to protect Japan. He feels like him being Ultraman is more important than him being a dad, which is not actually the case. He had to make a lot of sacrifice to do that because he was scared that he's not going to be strong enough to protect them if he gets too old or too weak. His relationship, his scenes with his dad are, I don't know why. Maybe I was watching it at the right time, at the right moment in my life. But yeah, a lot of scenes with his dad speaks to me. It's not that I'm not dad yet. I am not a dad yet, but you're like the relationship between his son and his dad. Yeah, I felt that, like the scenes in the campfire, if you know what I'm talking about. And yeah, that was deep. That was deep. There's a lot of anger in Ken's in Ken towards his dad. Because he thought his dad left him, and his dad wanted to reconnect. But they both can't find the right thing to say yet. But through Emmy, they both reconnected through Emmy. They developed this bond with each other through Emmy, and they basically co-parent raise Emmy to be a good kaiju. Like they have training drills and taught her how to feed by herself. She eats a lot of fish. And through that act of co-parenting, Ken actually becomes a better person. He becomes a good parent, a better son, has a better relationship with his dad, a better player. He actually it builds his character. Like he's not that egotistical, cocky diva anymore. He started rounding up his player, motivating his player, the other teammates, teaching them what he learned from the States, and it shows from the newscast stating that this feels like a different Ken Sato, and also his coach. Like during the start, his coach was not on board with him entering the team. Like, if you fucked up, I will trade you at the moment's notice, and it's starting to change. And during the peak of it, like they go on this like camping trip, which for some fucking reason they have a jet. Like I don't know how. Like it's never actually specified how, but during the prologue, they live like in a small apartment type complex. But when it's probably because of Ken's wealth, because I think he's probably rich. But it doesn't explain the Batman lair underneath the complex. Like he legit has an Iron Man like condo, Iron Man style condo from Iron Man 1 and 2. And yeah, I don't know where that was, like how that his dad made it. I forgot, but I think it was implied that his dad actually made it. And Ken's just staying there, and his dad actually staying in their old place, I think. But for some fucking reason, he has a jet. And not just a private jet, like a fucking Ultra Hawk. That shit looks like Ultra Hawk from Ultra 7. So yeah, they went on a camping trip, and they connect even more. And his dad actually had a heart-to-heart moment with Ken, while Emmy was playing catch with Mina. And his dad opened up. When I was first Ultraman, I wasn't the hero people thought I was. He fucked up a lot. He had to learn a lot on his own. Like, I don't know, the physiology of this Ultra and other Ultras are kind of different. the color timer doesn't necessarily feel like it's on for exact 3 minutes. And this show even tells us if your state of mind is on whacked, your color timer can go off at any time, like immediately even. And his dad actually just tells Ken, during my first time as Ultraman, my color time goes off a lot at the start. Like I was panicking, I was whacking off, I was panicking. His mind was all over the place. He thinks that he can't do this job, but after meeting his mom and going on a date, like going through a relationship with his mom, it centered him. The color timer finally stays blue. It never blinked. He said he found balance. So during this, there was a side plot with the villains. Before Emmy's time, so there was a kaiju named Let me check. Gigantron. I forgot legitimately if this was original kaiju or original kaiju for this movie or a old school ultra kaiju. But Gigantron has an egg, and that egg is Emmy. Emmy is actually Gigantron's kid, and Gigantron was the last monster in the prologue that Ken's dad actually fought, and I think got injured with. And yeah, Gigantron fought Ultraman, which now Ken's now Ultraman. But Gigantron lost, but through the intervention of the KDF. So KDF kind of killed Gigantron. Not really, but put him kind of in a coma. And then straight up Mecha Godzilla here to find Kaiju Island, where the place, supposedly where all the kaiju lives. They never found it. And it's the KDF's sole mission to find it, and through it, because they're so extreme, they kind of want to nuke it. They want to find it and nuke it, which the Satos are not about. So they also want to find the Kaiju Island through Emmy. And they also want to find it through Emmy, but because Gigantron doesn't want to, they kind of brainwash Gigantron, i.e. the Mechagodzilla part of it, to lure Emmy to them. So that Emmy could lure them to Kaiju Island. And Emmy goes through an evolution where she got wings and she can fly now. And yeah, there are some heavy moments in this, like the use of visual in this movie, especially during rage and frustration, showing rage and frustration. You can see the screen suddenly turns like reddish hue, dark red hue, with the ultra spiral in the background. It kind of shows that this character is very frustrated. And during another amazing scene, during that camping trip, the KDF actually attacks them. And in that moment, Emmy is in a cocoon. Emmy's in a cocoon. But Professor Sato got injured in the attack. And that pissed Ken the fuck off. You can see his rage. Like, the camera was so up close into his face. And then the background turned red. Everything turned red, basically. And he turned to Ultraman and just straight up... Thankfully, those were drones. I think there were drones. He just straight up slapping ships left and right. The KDF were on some extreme shit, and Emmy had to go with them. If I remember correctly, wait. No, Emmy finally evolved and had to go meet with the Mecha Gigantron. Ken thought his dad was dead at that moment. So he was full of rage, but he had to transform into Ultraman to do what needs to be done. Also, for some reason, they have a giant mothership, the KDF, that can turn it into let's just say a Jaeger. And Ken has to fight both Gigantron, Mecha Gigantron, which he later realized still has humanity. I don't know how to refer to it. Gigantron is still in there. Is still in that mech part, so he doesn't want to kill Gigantron in the end. He was very angry at Gigantron's start of the fight, but he later realized he's just not a cyborg. It's just being put into brainwashing. He's just on brainwash. So he tore up the mech parts to release Gigantron, but the Jaeger turned up and knocked Ken out. Basically knocked him out cold into the water. And a great scene where he's actually now saved by his dad. His dad ends up to be still alive. His dad is still alive, and he still has the power to turn into Ultraman, though his form is a bit different. Like his young Ultraman himself is very much like Ken. It's very tall, very muscular, very angular in appearance. And his current Ultra form is more like shorter. Is very short, is shorter, but the proportion is more aligned to live action Ultra. It's not very angular. It's like very flat, very slim. Also, the dude has a mustache. It makes sense because in live action show, in Ultra in general, when Ultra gets older, you get facial hair. Like Ultraman, father of Ultra. When he was young, he doesn't have the sideburns. When he's older and has Taro, he has the sideburns. Also, Ultraman King has a full-on Santa beard. Yeah, and they fight together. They now fight together, and can I just say, one of the best Ultra Rise scenes I ever saw. Like, this is the first time they show an Ultra Rise scene. Like, during other parts when Ken transforms, it's just like, it's very quick. It's just, and he transforms. It's just like a comet, like a shooting star, and transforms. It's very quick. They never show a Rise scene until this moment when Ken finally knows what he has to do, fight without anger, found balance, and he finally gets his Rise scene, like Ultra Rise scene. And it was amazing. It has a lot of old Ultra effects. Like I can see the OG Ultraman screen, like the red screen, and I can also saw a Taro ring. Like when Taro does his Rise pose, like there's a ring, like a splatter ring behind him. Yeah, that too. I saw that too during Ken's transformation. And that fight scene was amazing as fuck. In the finals, I did not expect to see this. And yeah, he never did a Spatium Beam. He always did an Ultra Cutter, I think. Yeah, if I remember correctly. Grant, I watched this movie twice. First in English and second in Japanese. The final scene, like before the final scene, the way they beat the villain, Dr. Endo, in the Jaeger, through a Spatium Beam, which I think they never did until the end. And that Spatium Beam is a father-son Spatium Beam. And not in a way like double Spatium Beam, not double, like two Spatium Beam combined. No, Ken's arm, like left arm was damaged by a sword the Jaeger used. Like, I think he dislocated his shoulder. Yeah, dislocated it. And he can't use the cross pose. So, in turn, his dad uses his arm to cross it. Like, his dad was on his left side, propping him up, and then cross his arm with Ken's hand. And that was so cool. That was so badass. It gave me Dragon Ball Z Cell vibes. The Gohan Kamehameha attack. And like one arm Kamehameha behind him is Goku doing it. Like, dude, that gave me chills. That father-son Spatium Beam gave me chills. And yeah, they did a Spatium Beam, but it wasn't enough. It's a really damaged the Jaeger, but it wasn't enough to beat Endo because Endo chose the B option. Yeah, Endo was so deep in his hatred towards Ultraman and the Kaiju, he opted to self-destruct the Jaeger. But Ken finally know what he has to do gets in the blast and uses Ultra Barrier with him still inside, and it saved the town. And also, I'd like to say this about Endo, which also encompasses the whole movie. This movie is very family focused, and what family can do to your mental state. A good like a good family environment can grow a person, but a traumatic family experience can bring a person down. Like in this case, Dr. Endo, he was so vengeful to the kaiju and Ultraman for failing and killing, and in Ultraman's case, failing to save his family. He's so hateful to them, and he died essentially hating Ultra. He died like very poignantly though. He died watching his family's final recording before they died actually, and it's somewhat sympathetic. I was hoping they could delve with Endo a bit more, but what we got, I was okay with it. And then the movie ends with Ken finally having balance. He finished the season with it in a high note, but he didn't play because he was injured. But because of his growth, and he was able to round up all the players, his teammates, and finish the season as champions. And he's now very humble. He has a new lease on life. He sees the world in a very different eyes. He has stripped his ego down, and he's an overall better person for it. And they are now off to Kaiju Island with Emmy and Gigantron, also with a dad. And that's where the movie ends. Also, before that, but after that, there's a post-credit stinger, which is kind of a tease for a sequel. Like, I'm hoping now they actually made a sequel, where the mom actually contacts Ken. Her location is at Nebula M78. So yeah, that's a tease for another movie, which I actually do want to see. So yeah, that was the movie Ultraman Rising. I thoroughly enjoy this movie. There's a lot of good moments in this movie, and I do hope this movie continues and have a sequel. Also, the music choices. A lot of Ultraman music in its choices. Though I must say, this is a personal preference of mine. I know that I think the DJ Diplo, yeah, Diplo made an Ultraman theme like for this movie, an exclusive theme for this movie. Honestly, not a fan, not my cup of tea. But the theme that they use for the ending visuals, like I think it was named No Better by, let me check, Alicia Creddy. Yeah, that's a good music. It gave me like Black Panther vibes, and it uses like the Ultraman visuals from the OG opening, like a background and silhouettes. I do like that ending song, and that song fits perfectly. It feels very James Bond-ish, but I do like it. It fits very well with the theme. And where does this place me? This is very high. Honestly, I would place this movie very high on the list of good Ultra movies. Like, still, Mega Monster Battle will still be #1 for me. Still, very much. Very much. And this probably, honestly, it's in my top 5. Honestly, not gonna lie. Ultraman Rising is actually in my top 5 for best Ultra movie. There, I said it. It's actually that good. And yeah, I do know that there's a lot of things that's still missing. I hope gets more. I hoped was more fleshed out. Again, Dr. Endo and the ultra nature of it. But yeah, also because of how good of this movie is, non-ultra fans, non-Toku fans even, will, I think, have a good time watching this movie. I very much recommend it to anyone who likes animation or good story in general. Yeah, this movie is very good. So yeah, those are my thoughts and my review for Ultraman Rising. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Please do like, comment, and subscribe. I really appreciate it. Also follow me on all things. And see you next time for the next video. I don't know which one it is, but I hope it's soon. So yeah, thank you for watching. Stay tuned. I'm Fedora Asterisk, and I'm signing off. Bye.